Hello and welcome to the House of Hidalgo show. This is your host, Rick the Hijo Benya, and today we continue the law of agency. We talk about solicitations, where they come from and where they're going, right after this. Hello everybody, it's Rick the Hijo Benya, and we're here today to talk a little bit about solicitations. Solicitations are, in effect, when one sovereign or one jurisdiction or one law form casts upon another a solicitation to enter its jurisdiction, its law form. So, the way I like to present this is to go back to the beginning of time, the garden incident, and show you that there was actually tons more solicitations that happened out of the garden. Once Adam and Eve were kicked out of the garden, there were tons of solicitations that happened, and they had to many times be rebuked by Hamashiach himself, who came in the form of the Word many times to them and redeemed them from terrible mistakes that they either had made or were about to make. So if you recall the incident in the garden where there was a temptation that came upon Eve to eat of the fruit, there's been a lot of speculation made of this, that the fruit was of a sexual nature, and so on and so forth. But what I want you to focus on is not what the nature of it was so much as I'd like you to focus on the concept of it being a solicitation, because solicitations are those things which solicit someone who exists in one law form and invites them to come and participate in another. all of us by nature are private. We're private, capital C citizens, which means that's a proper noun. That means that we retain our individual sovereignty. And we retain our individual sovereignty for as long as we hold it, or we don't give it away. Now, there's a principle out there in the patriot world that says you can't give away something that you can't give. You know, something you don't have the nature to give, you have no nature to give away. Well, unfortunately, this doesn't hold up to the history of the world, because we do have the nature to give away our rights. We do have the nature to give away our sovereignty, and it's been done before. Adam and Eve existed in a garden where they got to walk and talk with Yahuwah Elohim himself. Adam and Eve got to walk and talk with Yahuwah Elohim himself. And in their relationship with him, they had many blessings that came out of that relationship. They had a relationship with their Creator that was phenomenal, one that all of us are really jealous of. And how that was overcome is, of course, a different story. But today we want to focus on the principle of solicitation. So as you know, there was a temptation that took place, and they succumbed to the temptation in the garden. And through that temptation, they were beguiled, they were deceived, they were tricked, but nonetheless, they gave over their birthright as kings and sovereigns over their own lives, but gave it over to Satan, who became a third-party intervener, if you will. It's a third-party contractor. And that third party began to administrate many things in the lives of people from there forth, all the way up to the cross. And today he only administrates the lives of those who wish to, who consent to it. But there are many stories in the extra biblical text that would give us a good understanding of what a solicitation looks like. And we're going to bring that into today as we look at the solicitations that happened in the past. We'll relate it to today. But I'm reading from the book of Adam and Eve. There's a first Adam and Eve and second Adam and Eve. Some of them are just knowledge that's been passed down orally. Others of them are actually referenced in the scripture, in the 66 books, such as Enoch and Jasher. But this book is one that I believe, based on my study and my knowledge, is basically oral knowledge that's been passed down from generation to generation and was written down. If it holds up, if it makes sense, if it fits in, if it's referenced in some capacity or another, I accept it as truth. It doesn't have to be scripture to be truth. So I look at it as history. So I'm reading from Adam and Eve, the 27th chapter. This is the first book of Adam and Eve. And what you're about to hear is the second attempt of Satan, or the devil, to deceive Adam and Eve. I'm reading from the Sefer. This is called the Book of Beginnings. It's an addendum to the Sefer, which has all of the books of the beginning, such as First Adam and Eve, the let me just tell you what's in here. The Apocalypse of Moses, the Book of Genesis is in here, the Testament of Moses, the Apocalypse of Abraham, the Testaments of the 12 Patriarchs, the Book of Jubilees is all in here. Okay, so these are, for the most part, extra biblical, but they're historical documents which are relevant for our study of history. So, chapter 27, the first book of Adam and Eve says, "When Satan, the hater of all good, saw how they continued in prayer," that is Adam and Shua, Eve, "and how Elohim communed with them and comforted them, and how he had accepted their offering, Satan made an apparition. He began with transforming his host. In his hands were a flashing fire, and they were in a great light. He then placed his throne near the mouth of the cave, because he could not enter it by reason of their prayers." Adam and Shua, Eve, had taken up residence in a cave, and it's often called the Cave of Treasures. It's one that you can read about. "And he shed light into the cave until the cave glistened over Adam and Shua, while his host began to sing praises. And Satan did this in order that Adam and Eve saw the light. He should think within himself that it was a heavenly light, and that Satan's hosts were angels, and that Elohim had sent them to watch at the cave and to give him light in the darkness. So that when Adam came out of the cave and saw them, and Adam and Shua bowed to Satan, then he would overcome Adam thereby, and a second time humble him before Elohim." So what is the purpose of Satan's deception or solicitation? But to humble Adam and Eve, Adam and Shua, in front of Elohim. They are part of a private law firm, the creation of Yahuwah Elohim. And now they are being humbled a second time and made prostrate in front of Elohim by another deception of Satan. This was his plan. Because every solicitation requires a plan. So when, therefore, Adam and Shua saw the light, fancying it was real, they straightened their hearts. Yet as they were trembling, Adam said to Shua, "Look at that great light, and at many songs and praise, and at the host standing outside, who will not come into our cave. Why do they not tell us what they want?" Okay? Why do they not tell us what they want? So, here, Adam is getting smart towards the solicitation of Satan. He's saying to himself, why haven't they told us what they want? Because God always tells us what he wants. Right? So there's no deception in him. So why have they not told us what they want? He's sensing deception. So why do they not tell us what they want? Where they are from, and what the meaning of the light is, what those praises are, and why they have been sent to this place, and why they will not come in. So he had many questions. Why aren't these guys coming in? What are these praises? What's going on? You know, these are all different questions that he's inquiring of the solicitor, of the solicitation, which is something that we need to be cognizant of. When we are solicited, there must be questions asked to overcome that solicitation. And we should not be afraid to ask questions to determine whether the solicitation is proper or not. If they were from Elohim, they would come into the cave with us and would tell us why they were sent. Then Adam stood up and prayed to Elohim with a burning heart and said, "O Yahuwah, is there in the world another Elohim besides you, who created angels and filled them with light and sent them to keep us, who would come with them? But look, we see these hosts that stand at the mouth of the cave. They are in a great light. They sing loud praises. If they are of some other Elohim, then you tell me. And if they are sent by you, inform me of the reason for which you have sent them." No sooner had Adam said this than an angel from Elohim appeared to him in the cave, who said to him, "O Adam, fear not. This is Satan and his host. He wishes to deceive you, and he deceived as he deceived you at first. For the first time he was hidden in the serpent, but this time he has come to you in the likeness of an angel of light, in order that when you worship him, he might enslave you in the presence of Elohim." Then the angel went from Adam and seized Satan at the opening of the cave and stripped him of the pretense he had assumed, and brought him in his own hideous form to Adam and Shua, who were afraid of him when they saw him. And the angel said to Adam, "His hideous form has been ever since Elohim made him fall from heaven. He could not have come near you in it. He therefore transformed himself into a light, or angel of light." The angel drove away Satan and his host from Adam and Shua, and said to them, "Fear not. Elohim who created you will strengthen you." And the angel left them. But Adam and Shua remained standing in the cave. No consolation came to them. They divided in their thoughts. And when it was morning, they prayed, and then went out to seek the garden, for their hearts were towards it, and they could get no consolation for having left it. So there's a lot to take from there. This is a good example of how you overcome a solicitation. Now, the solicitations that we find ourselves in today are not spiritual solicitations. They're physical, jurisdictional solicitations. They are soliciting us to come out of our private relationship with our friends, with our family, with our Lord, and into a public jurisdiction that acknowledges only the administration of the state. I want you to take every situation you've ever been in, whether it's someone trying to force you to take a vaccine, whether it's someone trying to force you to register your kids for school, whether it's someone trying to force you to register your vehicles, whether it's someone trying to force you to register your land at the title office, or anything. Every single instruction you've ever received in your life, I want you to think about it right now and ask yourself this question. Has there been an attempt to remove me and my capacity as a sovereign individual under the Lord, as He created us to be His agents, His ambassadors, His trustees? Has there been a concerted, let's call it a conspiracy, call it what you want, to have me take on a different law form and become involved in a different law form? Has Babylon solicited me to a point of no return? Have I given myself wholly to the Babylonian ways? In fact, has Babylon installed so much patriotism in me that I'm unwilling to see the faults of the flag, which is red, white, and blue? Not saying the flag itself, but certainly the country it represents. Has Babylon so seduced me that I cannot see the errors of the state? These are questions that must be asked, because Satan does not just solicit you one time. He comes again and again and again and again, and he uses a Babylonian state all the time as his satanic horde host. It's his host which solicit often, trying to get you to move from upon that which is private, that which is personal, that which is yours, is real, and into some place that is fictional, that is on paper, that is given over to the lust of the world, to the administration of the state, who acknowledges not God. Let me give you another one. 1 Adam and Eve, chapter 28. But when the crafty Satan saw them, that they were going into the garden, he gathered together his host, and came in appearance on a cloud, intent on deceiving them. But when Adam and Shua saw him thus in a vision, they thought they were angels of Elohim, come to comfort them about having left the garden, or to bring them back into it. And Adam spread his hands, therefore, before Elohim, beseeching him to make him understand what they were. Then Satan, the hater of all good, said to Adam, O Adam, I am an angel of the great Elohim, and behold the host that surround me. Elohim has sent us to take you and bring you to the border of the garden, northwards, to the shore of the clear sea, and bathe you and Shua in it, and raise you to your former gladness, and to return again to the garden. These words sank into the heart of Adam and Shua. Yet Elohim withheld his word from Adam, and did not make him understand at once, but waited to see his strength. Because he had already told Adam, it will be 5,500 years before man again would be permitted into the Garden of Eden. It would be 5,500 years before Yahuwah would deliver his own flesh on the cross and resurrect him 3 days later. Amazing prophecy, already given in the first book of Adam and Eve, by the way. So Elohim withheld his word to test and see if Adam had learned by now. Have you already learned, Adam? Yes or no? So would he overcome as Shua was in the garden, or whether he would prevail? Then Satan called to Adam and Shua and said, Behold, we go to the river of water. And they began to go, and Adam and Shua followed them at some little distance. But when they came to the mountain to the north of the garden, a very high mountain, without any steps to the top of it. The devil drew near to Adam and Shua and made them to go up to the top in reality, and not in a vision, wishing as he did to throw them down and kill them, and to wipe off their name from the earth, so that the earth should remain to him and his host alone. So, what are some reasons for solicitation? Selfishness, right? My way or the highway, says the Babylonian administration. Selfishness. No form of godliness can exist on our planet, because if it does, people will not obey us, says Satan. This is the Babylonian state. This is the civil state that cries for its administration to be the rule of law. Think of the word rule. Selfishness drives so much of Babylon. And even today we receive solicitations. It may come in the form of something that looks like a court. But if it's your personal property, if it's property that is yours, if you've not given it over to Babylon to administrate, how can they administrate it? Unless it's by deception that they choose to try to pull you in. These are important things to think about. That's why I'm bringing them forth. This is a very important piece. The Hidalgo show is here to help you and assist you in overcoming solicitations. Now I'm going to read to you the very next chapter, chapter 29 of the book of Adam and Eve, the first book, because this is very important. This is where Elohim tells Adam of the devil's purpose. Check this out. But when the merciful Elohim saw that Satan wished to kill Adam with his many tricks, and saw that Adam was meek and without guile, Elohim spoke to Satan in a loud voice and cursed him. Then he and his host fled, and Adam and Shua remained standing on the top of the mountain. From there they saw below them the wide world, high above which they were. But they saw none of the host, which time after time were by them. They cried, both Adam and Shua, before the Lord, and begged for forgiveness of him. Then came the word from Elohim to Adam, and he said, Know and understand concerning this Satan, that he seeks to deceive you and your descendants after you. And Adam cried before Yahuwah Elohim and begged and prayed to him to give him something from the garden, as a token to him, wherein to be comforted. And Elohim considered Adam's thought, and sent the angel Michael as far as the sea that reaches India, to take from there golden rods and bring them to Adam. This did Elohim in his wisdom, in order that these golden rods, being with Adam in the cave, would shine forth with light in the night around him, and put an end to his fear of the darkness. And the angel Michael went down by Elohim's order, took golden rods, as Elohim had commanded him, and brought them to Elohim. And this is where Adam is about to receive earthly goods for the first time. Cave of treasures, where oddly, ironically, gold, frankincense, and myrrh were stored. Wonder what that could have been for. Wait, I know an occasion where gold, frankincense, and myrrh was given as a gift. I bet you it was stored there for a reason. That 5,500 year prophecy. So I'm going to take you now to one more. Knowing, though, that this doesn't only occur to Adam and Eve. This occurs time and time again throughout the scripture. If you go and read the book of Jasher or the book of Jubilees, you find out very quickly that Abraham overcame many solicitations of Satan on his journey to sacrifice Isaac before the Lord said, no, do not sacrifice your son. And he saw the ram in the thicket, which, by the way, was one of Satan's solicitations. Bet you didn't know that. You got to read these other books to understand the details in the book of Genesis. Okay, so let me read this to you. Here's another occasion. It brings out yet another factor of solicitation. Chapter 33 of the first book of Adam and Eve. Over and over again, Satan tried. But Satan, the hater of all good, sought them in the cave, but found them not. Although he searched diligently for them, but he found them standing in the water praying, and thought within himself, Adam and Shua are standing like that in the water praying to Elohim to forgive them their transgression, and to restore them to their former state. Now you got to understand that former state has to do with a shining disposition. There's some really interesting stuff in here. Okay, to their former state. And to take them from under my hand, that I will deceive them, but I will deceive them, so that they shall come out of the water, and not fulfill their vow. Then the hater of all good went not to Adam, but he went to Shua. Again, he knew he could likely get his way with Shua, and took the form of an angel of Elohim, praising and rejoicing, and said to her, Peace be to you, be glad and rejoice. Elohim is favorable to you. And he sent me to Adam. I have brought him the good news of Yeshua, and of his being filled with bright light, as he first was. And this had to excite Yeshua, because it's exactly what they were praying for, to be filled with the bright light that they once were. And Adam, in his joy for his restoration, has sent me to you, that you come to me in order that I crown you with the light like him. And he said to me, Speak to Shua. If she does not come with you, tell her of the sign when we were at the top of the mountain, how Elohim sent his angels, who took us and brought us to the cave of treasures, and laid the gold on the southern side, frankincense on the eastern side, and myrrh on the western side. Now come to him. When Shua heard these words from him, she rejoiced greatly, and thinking Satan's appearance was real, she came out of the sea. He went before, and she followed him until they came to Adam. Then Satan hid himself from her, and she saw him no more. She then came and stood before Adam, who was standing by the water and rejoicing in Elohim's forgiveness. And as she called to him, he turned around, found her there, and cried when he saw her, and beat his chest. And from the bitterness of his grief, he sank into the water. He recognized the deceit, and he beat his chest. He sank into the water. And he would have nearly drowned, but this is what happened in verse 12. But Elohim looked at him at his misery, and his being without, and at his being about to breathe his last. And the word of Elohim came from heaven. This is Hamashiach himself. Raised him out of the water, and said to him, Go up the high bank of Shua, or the high bank to Shua. And when he came up to Shua, he said to her, "Who told you to come here?" Then she told him the discourse of the angel who had appeared to her and had given her a sign. But Adam grieved and gave to her to know it was Satan. He then took her, and they both returned to the cave. These things happened to them the second time they went down to the water, 7 days after coming out of the garden. Just a week after coming out of the garden. They fasted in the water 35 days. 35 days together. 5 weeks. 42 days since they had left the garden. You see, Satan comes as an angel of light, or in our example, an agent of government. He comes and he says, the rule of law, the rule of law, the rule of law. And he gets you to begin to think that you have to do this. You have to do that. Vaccines are required. You must get a birth certificate. You must register your children. You must register your vehicles. You must register your land. You must register. Or else you shall be fined. Or else you shall be imprisoned. Or else you shall be executed summarily. You see? Threats. This is the exact same token that was used by Satan. As he would say, you must do this, or else the Lord will, you won't be blessed, or you won't be lit back in the garden. Or I've come to do this so you can be lit back in the garden. You have to do this to get there. Solicitations have been around since the beginning of time. Today they're very sneaky because they come in the name of something that you have been taught to respect. They come in a patriotic sense. They come in the name of something that you have been taught to fear. They come in the name of a court, in the name of an attorney, in the name of a third-party debt collector, in the name of a neighbor, in the name of a guy across the country from you. They come in many different forms, but they're all solicitations. Overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of his testimony. Overcome by your understanding of what Christ actually did, how Mashiach did when he was crucified on the cross. All sin and debt gone. All. When he was seen before he ascended and he gave a great commission, how much power did he say was given to him? How much authority? All power, all authority in heaven and in earth. All? But if he has all power in the earth, then what's that power that the state said they had again? Well, where do they get that power from? Oh, the consent of the people. But wait. What if the people have already consented to another law form? What if the people are obeying the laws of the Lord? What if they're operating in the ways of the Lord? You see, trouble. Reconciling this this is where we're at. But I hope you're getting the point. I hope you're starting to see how when the state solicits you, when the court solicits you, when the attorney solicits you. By the way, you should go and look up the word attorn, which is the root word of attorney. It's basically a turncoat. It's basically somebody who used to serve this guy and now they're serving this guy. Not a good word. So these attorned ones should not be trusted. When they come soliciting you, you need to be aware of who you are. You need to be aware of your privacy being protected under God, under Yahuwah Elohim himself. So with that, I think I'm going to stop for today. But this was a quick review on the concept of solicitation, where it comes from, and how we can recognize it when it comes. A solicitation is always in a form of one law form reaching out to you in another law form and requesting that you come across by threat or coercion. Refuse to cross the line. God will protect you. You will not lose. But you must stand strong. I thank you for listening to my show today. If you're a patron, by the way, thank you very much. And congratulations to one of my patrons who has a new addition to their life. God bless you and congratulations. I want to thank my patrons especially because you guys are sensational. You make my day go. You're the one who brings me back here every Monday to do another show. You make it possible. And thank you. From the bottom of my heart, I thank you. Okay? If you want to be a patron, you can be a patron. It's very simple. You can support this show. You can support all the ministries that I do, like Trinity Wrestling America. You can support everything that I do. All you gotta do is be a patron. And really, it's really easy. Go to patreon.com/House of Hidalgo Show, and you sign up at some level, whether it's $1 level, $5 level, $15 level. I think it's $16 level. $50 level, $100 level, whatever level that you decide you want to sign up at. It helps. It helps me. It helps me to keep the show going and to help you help others. So as you get this message and you start to learn things and put things together, put A and B together, which creates C and, so on and so forth. As you begin to put the puzzle pieces together and you help other people do the same thing, see, we start to overcome as a people, operating in the ways of the Lord. So with that said, thank you again. For the patrons, if you want to become a patron, you know how to. I'd recommend, though, that you would become a patron at a $5 level or more so you can get the extra content. I have created extra content that only $5 and above can get. Now, if you can't afford any of that, you don't want to be, you don't want to be a patron, that's fine. I've got a YouTube channel. Go to the YouTube channel, subscribe, hit the bell. You'll get the notifications every time. And if you're on social media, why not come by Facebook? Join our Facebook page. Listen to the shows there. They're all recorded there. You can come back and listen to the archive anytime. And the Hidalgo show is not planning on going anywhere anytime soon. So you can come in there and you can learn. It's a library of information as we bring it to you. You can share it all over Facebook. You can share it all over YouTube. So come and like the page and, let us know what you think. with that said, thank you very much for listening. You could always write me. There's an address there at the bottom of the screen where you can write me. And if you want to send me something, I'll open it online here during our show if you want me to. Just got to throw me a little instruction in there to do so, and I'll do it. And lastly, if you want to just email me, I've got an email. It's on the bottom of the screen. Email me, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. God bless you all. Thank you for listening. And remember, everything we do here at the Hidalgo Show is all about the blood.